This is the 152nd episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the third week of September 2013. This episode is titled 7 Workdays. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Arkus, Salesforce Implementations, Consulting, and Force.com Development. Search for Arkus on the App Exchange and read what our clients have to say. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me as a co-host, co-founder of Arkus, Justin Edelstein. How are you doing, buddy?
A little panache there.
A little panache.
A little co-founder.
Co-host,
co-founder.
You're a co.
What else?
You're like a co. And we're moving on.
All right.
We have an agenda for today.
That intro didn't go so well.
It didn't?
I don't know. We'll feel it out. We'll see what people say.
Oh, you know, with the whole doing the little, like, ad promo?
Yeah.
Don't you like that?
Well, I like it. I want to hear what other people have to say.
Well, this came from actual feedback from our listeners of the podcast, and we said, hey, do you know what applications Arkus produces? And they said, no. And I said, ooh, that's odd. We talk about them all the time on the podcast. And
you know what the problem is? We then go pick two others that aren't ours at the end of every single podcast.
So we've picked, over some 300 or so other people's products.
Right.
But that's fine. But so now we've put in a little ad copy at the beginning because why not? It is actually sponsored by us.
It is.
So the problem is we only have a couple products and they're free, so it's not like a big deal.
Right.
All right. So let's talk about the agenda. We have the third of the 4-part series in Winter 14.
I think it's going on 5. I'm not sure.
What's
There's
the
a
fifth
lot
one
of
gonna
them.
be?
There's a lot of them.
So here's the thing. I have a question for you. Since we're probably going to talk about that one next week, do you want to combine the one we're talking about this week and next week into next week's podcast and just jump into the other stuff?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
We'll come back.
So what I was about to talk about and not talking about it.
Right.
We're going to talk about other stuff.
Other stuff.
Okay. Because I think there's other stuff to...
There's some other stuff.
All right. Yeah, because last week we did a lot of Salesforce stuff. So next week we have 2 blog posts we'll talk about.
Salesforce stuff
Winter
next
14
week.
For service and Winter 14 the permission sets.
Permissioner episode.
Yeah, that one will be sponsored by the Permissioner.
Right.
Permission sets made easy.
One of our products that people now know that we
Hashtag Adam Torman.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about the big news that sort of hit. There's 2 things, some cloud, some not, in the last 2 weeks. The first was which Apple launched a bunch of stuff to wild and crazy success, and we have not talked about any of it. And we're a big happy family.
Everyone knows when they do stuff, we talk about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've let people down.
Yeah. They're like, why aren't you talking about
the Apple stuff? iOS 7, the phones, the hardware.
So what do you want to talk about?
Other hardware too, right?
Nope.
Computers? No? I thought I saw something about a new iMac or something.
Yeah, you're just making stuff up.
I'm just making stuff up?
People
Did I just make that up?
New iMacs. Yeah, you did.
Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure. Pretty cool. All right, let's go back and talk about
find out if I made that up or not.
The first thing that came out was iOS 7, the reimagining of the iOS. It came out on the 18th of last week, so it's for iOS for your iPhone and an iPad.
Correct.
It was a free upgrade. I think that goes a little bit untalked about, is that it is a free upgrade. Long ago, Apple used to charge like $9.99 or something for these updates. They have really moved this model where the operating system really has very little value. Even Mavericks, which I don't know what the price of Mavericks is, but I think it's going to be low. It's going to be the $9.99, $19.99.
The last upgrade was $19.99, I think, from the Apple. It so breaks the model because it's not even you don't need a disk, you don't need a license key. It's just
download,
install from the App
from the
Store,
cloud, and so did the iOS this time. So,
how did your experience go with the upgrade?
So I upgraded 4 devices.
I did 2.
And I have 2 more to go. That says a lot about me and my household.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
And it went well for all of them. One of them I had to click on it a couple times. It kept saying can't complete, and I just said go ahead, and it said okay, and then it did it. The getting back in, I must say, pretty flawless. I mean, other than the actual shockingness of the OS, which we can talk about in a second, it was there, and it started up, and it came back, and it goes, okay, here we are. A couple weird things, like you had to delete a lot of stuff.
I had to delete tons of stuff because it needed like
3.2
gigs. And I'm like, I should have that. Oh, I guess I don't. Well, why do you need 3 gigs?
I can tell you why.
You're going to give it back to me later. Okay.
You want to know why?
Well, I can guess, but you
Okay,
can
go
tell
ahead.
me.
You guess.
Oh, I don't want to sound stupid.
Well, 2.8.
Well, I'm guessing that the OS needs the image needs that much space to be downloaded onto the actual hardware to then install itself.
750 megabyte image.
Oh, then why does it need 3 gigs?
Highly compressed. So when it uncompresses, it's probably more like 2 gigs.
Wow.
And then it has a lot of stuff that it's doing that's sort of throwing stuff around. So they're doing the conservative thing. They're saying, hey, we need this much space, but we're going to make sure we don't even chance run out. So they probably give themselves 500 to a gig of just extra, just in case. And so it's coming down to 700. It's expanding out to probably double that.
Right.
And then it's installing. And remember, it's replacing an OS that already exists, so it's kind of doing a lot of moving of stuff around. So my guess is that's why, because it has to expand out, and it needs the space to expand to.
Yep. So I upgraded my phone
Yep.
and my iPad mini. The little lady decided not to. She was like, I don't want to delete stuff off the phone, and for that reason, I'm not going to upgrade it right now. I'm just going to wait. And then her iPad is an original, so that one, you know what's funny is it's starting to not function.
Really?
Yeah, it's starting to like crash a lot. So I find that interesting. Like it's not so well backwards.
Time to sell quickly, immediately.
I don't know if it's really worth. It might just be worth keeping as a keepsake. I don't know how much it's actually worth at this
Trust
point.
me, it's got some value
16
somewhere.
gigabyte original, no Wi-Fi,
Got
something.
value somewhere.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where 30 years from now, you're like, I got the original iPad.
No.
Cool.
No. And I don't want to do the calculation with you that you live in New York City and what your square footage price is and what it would take to keep that iPad for 30 years and that you could literally buy another
on the table. It's like a book, that you keep on the coffee table. It's a coffee table book.
So the big thing in this iOS, there's lots of little features.
By the way, Apple did announce Apple has released an updated version of its iMac as of yesterday.
Okay.
Just going back to that.
I don't think they did it in the announcement, though. I think they might have just done it yesterday.
I'm just saying they announced.
So it got somewhere in your stream. All right.
Yeah, somewhere in my stream I saw that, and I did not make it up.
Okay.
Just going back to that.
Good job.
Did not make that up.
Awesome. So the big news really is beyond the features. So there are lots of features in iOS 7. They always claim like 100 new features or whatever. There's features all over the place. I'm even still discovering. But the big thing is really the interface. The interface was totally redesigned from the ground up. It is much, I would say, flatter. I would say it's much higher contrast. Like things stand out more because they're, it's just like more. It's flatter, like even flatter colors. I mean, it doesn't have all the shiny stuff that they used to have, but it's also like. It's like only 2 or 3 colors. 2 colors in an icon as opposed to a picture-perfect icon. And then every app follows suit. So everything's much cleaner. It's much flatter. It's much like more white space. It's like a brand new font. What are your thoughts after using it for, I guess, a week now?
I'm still getting used to it a little bit. The calendar is taking me a little bit to get used to because the views are different. So I was very used to the calendar and the way that it used to work. The photo app, I'm also still getting used to because it's collecting things, which I think over time I will eventually really like. But for now, it's a little confusing. Same with the calendar. Like I feel like over time, these views that they're giving me are better than the old views, but I'm just not used to them yet.
Right.
So I'm being like, a user. I'm just not really getting it just yet. I'm like, why can't I get to my week view? Oh, I'm already in the week. Like I don't have to jump to the week view because that's where it puts me. Why can't I get to the day? Well, you're already there. Like it's giving you everything in one view as opposed to a few. I'm missing a few things that I really liked, and maybe I'm just totally blanking on them. But the notification center, the swipe down from the top,
Gone.
Where's the weather? Where's my weather?
Weather's there. You have to do something to
I have
enable
to
that.
do something. I want that. That was like a nice thing to have.
It's there. It works it's in here. It's in your Today view, and it works on my iPad.
It's not in my Today view.
All right. No. Let's not do an Apple Help care.
I need Apple Help.
No.
I'm not showing you that. I'm just opening up my phone so I can say, what else do I like or not like about this? I like the foldering. You can put more things in the folder, although I don't like how there's less things in one view when you click on a folder.
Right.
Which I find weird, but regardless. The whole moving the thing
parallax.
Up and down, parallax, doesn't do anything for me. I don't really care. Other than that, I agree. It's flatter, it's cleaner. I almost think it's cleaner but cartoony at the same time, just kind of odd.
Cleaner but cartoony.
Yeah, like it's got like some cartoon to me type features to it.
Huh.
Like it's bright and cartoony.
Huh.
I mean, a testament to them. I already forgot what it used to look like. So, kudos.
It's the greatest operating system ever.
I already did. I just
forgot. Reimagined it from the beginning.
I forgot. There's a couple things that slow it down. Like I feel like these animation things are weird, and battery life has been off and on, up and down. I turned off all that background stuff, and that turned it back to like, oh, battery's good again. Today I was hotspotting. I was using it as a hotspot, and that was just crushing the battery.
Yeah.
So I know that will crush the battery. Other than that, I mean, I like it. I like it even more on the iPad. I like it in the bigger form factor better with the swiping between the apps and stuff like that. So all in all, I think it's a good upgrade. It's definitely the biggest one that they've done since they introduced apps, I think. So like they'll say it's the biggest redesign ever, maybe from a design perspective, but from an OS perspective, I think going from the first one to whenever they launched apps, that was clearly like a huge jump. And then this is the next big jump for me. Again, I like it better on the iPad personally. But
I actually
can't complain.
I think I'm in reverse. I think I actually like it better on the iPhone. I find it more useful. I find all the stuff that like the swiping from the bottom up just to get to controls. I love all that. But on the iPad, it doesn't feel as natural as it does on the phone with your finger and your thumb. I kind of feel. I mean, it's from an Apple fanboy. I feel like okay. Like I don't feel like you haven't changed my life. You haven't done. I mean, other than showing me the calculator and the flashlight.
Flashlight. I used it the other day. I was like, "Ooh, flashlight! I have this now."
But that I think what I'm getting caught up is in the design versus the functionality. I feel like if they'd put the functionality into the old version and kind of kept the design, I don't feel like I would have cared. Like I never looked at the old design and thought, "Oh, this is so not cool." Like it always was functional. It worked good. There's stuff that it's doing now that looks a little bit nicer, but there's other stuff that just doesn't work. There's a lot of controls that they're very hidden in terms of the way that they look. Like there's like 3 little lines in the corner, and you're like, well, what are those 3 little lines? Oh, you click on it, and then you get some sort of sub menu. But there are literally 3 little tiny lines in the sub corner of an iPad. They're tiny.
Yeah.
And I think I've talked to some older folks, and they find a lot of the font size and thinness of the font very kind of hard to look at because it's very hard to read. So you know
what else was confusing? Yeah. I'm sorry, while we're still here. Why did they have to change the swipe to like delete things in email? Like why do I now have to swipe left when I used to swipe right? Like why change that after so many years? Did they determine that some usability experts said swiping left is better than swiping right?
There is. I was thinking about that because your father said it the other day,
and I agreed. I was like, I agree. I couldn't even figure it out.
I've been thinking about it and using it, and I will say there's something. It's kind of reverse of where you're going because when you're swiping from the right over or from left to right, you're doing one thing. I think this is.
Oh, stop it.
No, I'm serious. Like the other day I was doing something and I thought, oh, that makes sense. Now I can't remember exactly what it was, but it made sense that I would go the other direction. So again,
I just don't understand why after so many years of working one way, it had to just stop and start working a different way for that little thing. Like it was such a tiny thing that I felt like you've just taken 6 years of learned behavior and flipped it around. Why?
There's a reason. I don't know what the reason is. Because we totally reimagined it.
Reimagined it and made it so much better.
So, again, we
took the greatest thing in the world and made it look like complete garbage.
And now it's better.
Now it's amazing.
It's amazing.
And a year from now, this will be terrible.
This will be terrible.
And the next thing will be amazing.
iOS 7 won't go anywhere. I actually am looking forward to how they tweak it a little bit. There's some things like buttons and things. They come up as these very like light lists in the bottom. And you're like, oh, that's a button. It kind of looks like just a white thing. And so there's stuff like that. Even when you're tweeting and things like that, they've removed the tweeting functionality from Notification Center. Like you swipe down to tweet.
Yeah, there's not much in there anymore.
It's much more, sort of Google-esque in that it has the today view. Here's what's happening today, what's happening tomorrow.
I like those.
Although
You're busy.
But my calendar is covered with stuff, and then not only is it covered with my sort of work stuff, it's covered with my home stuff. So on any given day, I probably have 20 events or 10 events. Daughter's going here, wife's going here. So it's like, you're busy, and you're starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, get some sleep tonight. But bigger news is the thing that we can't actually talk about or review because we don't have one yet, but is the new iPhone 5.
5S, 5C.
The 5.
See, I think this operating system was meant to, obviously, it was meant to work on that 5S because of all the animation. Like, it's like, there's no reason for a lot of the little animation things that happen, but I feel like they'll be a lot snappier on the 5S.
Oh, they'll definitely be snappier. So the 5S, let's talk about this. Two models.
And the battery too.
There's a C and an S. The S represents sort of, I guess they're saying speed, and the C they're saying
super.
Color. Although some people are saying it's the cheaper one.
I like super.
S is coming in 3 different colors: gray, silver, and gold, which is basically people are selling on eBay for $10,000, and then the color ones come. Yeah, $10,000.
$10,000 for what?
For the S Gold.
Why?
Because people have to have it.
Why not just wait like a few weeks and then you can get it?
Because that's the way they feel. This is the eBay.
Wow,
yeah.
$10,000.
Yes.
I'm gonna sell mine for $10,000.
Yours won't be here for a long time.
Oh man.
I will have my iPhone whatever before you. And then the C is basically it's the iPhone 5 just in a new shell and in a new casing, and it's colorful. So it's got all the same hardware. Kind of an interesting take. I think they always take the old iPhone and they always mark it down. They always bring it down another $100. This is a way of kind of bringing it down, but also making it feel like a new phone. So you don't like, oh, I'm not just on the iPhone 5. Well, everybody said that for a year. You're on the iPhone 5C. Oh, and it's got colors.
And they kept the previous rev alive.
Well, they kept the 4S, yes, alive, which is even stranger. Again, the only really news out of it is that with all the predictions of Apple's demise and not being able to sell and not being able to innovate, they sold 9 million phones over the weekend, which if you look at a chart of like Samsung X Galaxy plus Motorola blah or whatever, they're literally like blips on a map compared to this 5 or 9 million in a 3-day period.
They don't do that when they launch.
Oh, they sell like 300,000.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not even close. And this one broke every record that Apple's ever set in terms of selling phones.
They
on the
just
weekend.
keep breaking records every time.
People were out
they should
in
release
line
the phone every 6 months.
They were out in line a week early. There
really
were people
still with the lines?
Yeah.
I haven't done that.
It's unbelievable.
In a couple of phones.
Have not either.
Used to do it. Don't do it anymore.
It was fun. But
Yeah.
now my time
Wait
is
online for 3 hours.
Yeah,
My feet
4,
would be killing
5
me.
hours.
And it was like high five the guys as you walk
Yeah.
through. You're finally in the store. Now go wait in another line.
I remember waiting in line for your first iPhone.
Yeah, that was great.
Because I waited in line for it.
Picking it up from you. That was awesome.
So again, not a really.
Greatest
I think
day ever.
the really big story is that Apple, while sort of in the world of is being said, oh, they're not innovating, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. Still seems to knock it out of the park every time they release something. It doesn't feel like the iPhone 5CS doesn't feel like the biggest thing. It isn't a new one. It's not 6.
Right.
6, I'm sure, will be crazy sauce and do all sorts of other stuff. The big feature in this one is really too big is speed. It's a 64-bit chip. These chips are now as getting as powerful as computers, and it has a touch sensor thumbprint ID
Thumbprinter.
for opening up, which
and
apparently
and the camera, right?
the camera's
I think the camera's a different hardware spec.
It's a little bit. It's like the lenses or something.
And the flash.
And there's a double flash, but that's not. I think
it's like the most popular camera in the world.
But the innovation is in the chip, the 64-bit, the new chip that's just doing motion, the M7, and then this thumbprint or fingerprint home button, which can now be the authentication factor to get into your phone.
I love it.
Which I think is great, because how many times a day do you pump in that?
1,000.
A trillion. I turned it to 5 minutes the other day because I was so sick of putting it in every 5 minutes.
Mine's just like every time it goes to sleep. So I'm like, oh.
Well, that's a setting. Go ahead and change the setting.
I'm too lazy.
Okay.
All the settings need to be on that one screen, otherwise I'm too lazy.
So we're going to get one. When we get it, we'll review it. Yeah. And the other 9 million people out there can listen to it and say if we're on or not.
Maybe you'll get yours first because you're not getting a gold one.
I'm not getting a gold one, no.
I'm getting the gold. I got to go for gold.
Yeah, it's
like,
ridiculous.
Oh, gold. I love it.
Ridiculous.
I got the white one here. You know, this is the first time in a while that I've actually gone for the .5, as I'll call it. You know, the not the 6. Like, I didn't have the 4S. I had the 4.
Right.
Like, I didn't go for that middle model. But I feel like this is it actually has some new stuff in it.
I mean, the way I talk about it is, listen, I use my phone now more than ever before. Even before, I used to be at an office, whatever. I use my phone constantly. I was on a conference call for 3 of 4 hours today on my phone, using my phone as the call-in device. I use it. I call into everything on it when I'm at home, just because it's its own line, and I can plug it into my ears, and it's so reliable at home. It's almost more reliable than my landline. That who cares? Like, I use it as my phone, and I take it with me, and whenever I'm going to meet clients or whatever. So, other than my laptop, which is basically the bread earner of my life, it's the second, and so it's a business thing for me. It's a huge thing that I use for business, and I couldn't survive without it. So.
Speaking of using something for business, let's move on
to sending
Google
emails,
Gmail being out.
Yeah.
So what was this? 2 days ago? We're recording this on Wednesday. Was it Monday, I believe?
I think it was yesterday, wasn't it?
I think it was,
no, it was Monday.
It was Monday. So Monday, there was a Gmail outage, and it impacted... I read in their little app status thing that it impacted 0.024% of all Gmail users, which is a very small percentage, but a very large number of users. I don't know if that meant all those were the users that were actually out, because it was certainly impacting me. I was getting emails delayed throughout the day. You know, I'd get an email at 3 o'clock in the afternoon that was sent to me at 9:30 in the morning.
I don't know where you're seeing 0. In the actual note at 2:05 p.m. it says the email delays are affecting less than 50% of Gmail users.
No. Then maybe the delays were a separate incident than the outage.
Right.
Because the delays were happening, I feel like, to a lot of people.
The average median delay was just 2.6 seconds.
Yeah, but that's not correct. For me, at least.
Well, median. Anyway.
Okay. I'm looking at the note from 11:45 a.m. that same day. The delivery of some messages are being delayed and attachments may fail to download. This issue is affecting less than an estimated 0.024% of Gmail user base.
And it's an hour after it got reported, but then 4 hours later, they're saying it's 50% of users. So you got to read up in the timeline.
Yeah.
Then it started off at nothing, and then it...
Well, that's when I looked at it.
Okay.
I didn't look at it since then. I was just like, oh, it's out.
Well,
so
50% of users is a large amount.
Large amount.
That is users. Like... And it's one of the things. I mean, someone posted, I think Mike Gerhold posted saying, "Oh, they should have trust.google.com." I'm like, they actually do. They have an app status board, and it was very clear. There was stuff going on. You could tell. Honestly, it wasn't an outage. I mean, that would have been very painful.
Oh, yeah.
But when you stop trusting your email that things are getting delivered, it just sends this ripple down your life of like,
oh boy.
Wait, what? Did you send that? Did I not get it? Like, we basically at this point take email to be pretty much send it and it gets there. You know, maybe a spam filter, although I feel like people use that as a kind of excuse now and again. But yeah, so you basically send it and they get it, and you know, you're on a phone, something, boom, you get it. So like delays and outages, and you start to distrust. So even for days later, I'm still thinking, wait, Did they send that to me? Did it get deleted? Did you send it? And I guarantee you, there's a whole set of people on Monday or Tuesday who were supposed to send out something that are going, oh, I sent it.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is it when they came, it said when they were sent. So, like, you can't really get away with that nonsense. Like I said, I got it at 3, but it said, it was sent at 9:30 in the morning.
Right, but I could also say there was a Gmail outage, and I sent that email. Why didn't you get it? Oh, it was a Gmail outage.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only assume I got them all.
There you go.
I thought it was a client-side issue. I thought, because I've had that where Apple Mail is not downloading or polling and getting the emails from Google as fast as obviously if you were to just go to gmail.com. So I was just kind of going back and forth, and it was always the same. It had nothing to do with Apple Mail. Then I went to the phone, and it had nothing to do with that either. It was Google. With that said, though, this happens so rarely that when it does happen, it is kind of a big thing.
It's funny. Go back to the app status board right now. Click refresh. There's another one started right now. Started about
with Gmail
20 more
or 20, something else. Gmail. I noticed. Oh yeah, look at that.
So it happens so rarely that it's happened twice in a week.
It's now impacting 0.002% of users.
Yeah. Again, that's what they say to start, and then they just updated.
I saw there was an admin console issue earlier in the day when I was looking at this thing.
Again, I don't expect everything to be forever and never to go down. I expect them to. This is what I always say. I say it's okay to go down now and again, but it's not okay not to report it, and it's not okay not to have a place that you can go see it and know the update and be able to watch the progress of it being fixed and then have it fixed within a reasonable time. I think the thing with this, it was a massive delay, meaning over 50% of all Gmail users, which is hundreds of millions.
Right.
And it was 12 hours. I mean, it started at 10 in the morning. It didn't get resolved completely until 10 at night. That's not a blip. I mean, that's a 12-hour, middle of the workday, Monday. So, whatever I'm sure that they did. I don't think they're as clear about what happened. They're a little bit more shady about that. Yeah. Like, they don't give you the details, but anyway, interesting enough. Good old
cloud outage.
Little cloud outage. Speaking of cloud outages.
Really?
Do you have a CloudFocus app pick of the week? That's not an outage?
Not an outage, but it is about going out. Good one.
Have you not picked this?
No, this is not what you think it is.
Think it is.
It is not what you think it is.
Think it is.
So what is it? You tell me what my app pick of the week is. Go ahead and tell me.
It's their app that they put out about 3 months ago that allows you to...
Who's there? Who's they?
Google.
Yeah.
They put out a month ago that when you pull it up, it shows you stuff to do around and shows you location-based services of things and friends doing things.
I never picked this.
Okay, I'm just saying.
No,
I knew what it was.
Well, you did.
Okay.
Well, you just said it. It's called Field Trip, and that's exactly what it does. It's from Google. It's free. You put it on your iPhone. You're walking around, use your location, and shows you not only things that you can do presently, but also historical landmark type of things, which I find more interesting than anything. Is like, oh, I'm in this neighborhood or in this area. Oh, don't change yours. Oh, come on.
I'm changing mine.
Oh, why?
Because I want to change
it.
I
like the one that you picked there.
I'll pick it another week.
Oh, that's not cool. We had a whole discussion around that. All right. But you've picked... Oh,
nope.
This is terrible.
Nope.
All right, fine.
Can I pick 2?
Yeah.
You're going to let me pick 2?
Absolutely.
Just this week because you want me to pick the other one?
Yeah, I do.
Right.
So anyway, Field Trip, not the Field Trip for you Salesforce admins that you're thinking of, which reports field usage across objects in Salesforce, which is also a very good product. But this is interesting. I like the historical aspects of Field Trip on the iOS, where you can see like historical landmarks and things of that nature, because here in New York City we got tons of them. So I always find it interesting to pull up little things and tidbits and pictures and images and stuff around places that would be like, oh, in 18 whatever, this spot was this. That's why I like it. Anyway.
Excellent.
On to you, sir.
So I'm just going to do a quick shout out because this kind of goes into what we were talking about with iOS 7. So because there's been a big design change of iOS 7, a lot of developers use this as a chance to redesign their apps and go within the guidelines of iOS. So using the fonts, using the whatever. And some took it as an opportunity to actually relaunch their app with a whole new set of functionality.
New rev.
So I'm gonna pick one. I feel bad because this is like an app that I just absolutely love and think is just fabulous, and so I'm kind of not giving it its full love that it should deserve.
Well, you've picked it before.
Yeah, but this is the new rev. This is completely different. It take the whole thing and they reimagined it.
You've picked this application before,
but not this version.
Do you know how many different versions there are of iPhone apps? Every week I could come back and pick Chatter Mobile. Chatter Mobile.
It's been 4 years.
Chatter Mobile.
It's been 4 years since the last version of this. So it's not the same.
No, I get it. From 1 dot something to 2 dot something.
Right, but I'm saying they have not released a major redesign of this for 4 years.
Right.
So it's not a small thing.
Okay, fine.
Okay. I love when you just give in.
It's whatever.
Well, you haven't even seen it, so you don't know what that is different.
No, I don't.
So anyway, I have picked this before, but I'm picking a new version. It is different. It's redesigned. It's OmniFocus 2 for the iPhone. There's lots of new features in it. It's basically a new look and feel. It's much more, I guess, cleaner. Again, it follows all the guidelines of Apple. New forecast view. I
like the forecast view.
Background
the one from the iPad.
Well, it's a new one though. It's different looking, and there's just different ways it shows you like how many tasks you have in certain projects. There's lots of different coloring systems. Again, it's like they looked at iOS 7. They said, let's take a lot of the concepts around iOS 7 and build it into the app. And then the big one it brings in is that background syncing is now a part of OmniFocus for the iPhone. So it uses that background service, so it can just sync in the background without you telling it. So that's my iOS 7 pick. But the real pick, the one that Justin was upset that I wasn't picking, is a very funny pick because we built this about 4 years ago, but someone else went and built it again.
Well, we built it for ourselves.
Yes. Well, we talked about releasing it to the public.
Yeah, but we really built this for our own internal org. Now someone's built it as an app on the App Exchange.
Yes, which I think is why I wonder if they got under the $500.
I would hope so for the price they're charging.
So this is basically the problem of meeting requests generated from Salesforce is that when someone accepts a request, you don't get a notification, which you do when every other notification or meeting request system like Google or Outlook, you always get a notification, someone accepted. So this is called Meeting Request Notifier, and it is called the missing feature of email notification on meeting requests from a Salesforce event. Well, it's kind of interesting. It's from a provider called Ramsey Solutions, and it basically haven't tested it. I'm just putting it out there because we built this and have it in our org. We customized it a lot, and we did a lot of little things to it. But for those who want what we have and don't want to and aren't we're not going to use our code. It does just that. It sends you an email when someone does a request of does a acceptance or decline of your thing. I don't know if they're doing.
It looks
the same
like
way.
It does. I looked at just screenshots.
Yeah.
It looks like it's doing literally the exact same thing.
It's using a batch.
It looks like you have
once
to
an
schedule
hour.
it. It captures the attendees, their responses in a little custom object. It's doing. It looks like it's doing exactly what our solution does.
So it's $1 per user per month. So pretty on the cheap side. Although it's a tiny
Depends
little.
how many users you have.
It's it's a tiny little feature. I probably would like to see this at like a org level, like $20 an org.
Yeah, $20 a year, you got it.
Or I don't know, $10 a month per org or something. I'm just trying to think of like what this really means. I mean, we spent money obviously building developers, but then now we've owned it for.
Well, it depends
4 or 5
how
years.
many users actually. I would hope that you can just say, well, these 6 users want to use the Salesforce calendar to send invites out of my 25 users that I have.
Right.
So let me buy it for these 6 as opposed to making me buy it for the whole org and paying per user because most people are not going to be sending out their meeting requests via Salesforce. Most people.
So anyway, it's Meeting Request Notifier. It has no ratings, so I don't know if anybody's tried it, but give it a shot. I saw it somewhere. I saw it in the App Exchange newsletter. So kind of neat. And again, cheap price. There you go. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. Until then, remember to follow Justin at Just Edelstein. Follow myself at Jason M. Atwood. Follow Arkus at Arkus Inc. We're on Facebook, Dreamforce Portal Group, the Success Community Group, which just got the Winter 14 upgrade. So there's lots of new success features like mentioning groups, which is really cool. Inside of the Success Community Group or Success Community Portal. We're on LinkedIn, Google Plus. Remember to subscribe in iTunes or your podcasting thing of choice. Until next week, we'll be back with another episode. We'll go deep again into the snow of winter with not one, but 2 blog posts on Winter 14. And until then, as always, enjoy those cloudy days.